Welcome to Watch the Booker Man and the fourth part of this TNA 2009 Prelude to the Heyman era save, and we're just coming off the back of the Turning Point pay-per-view where we unveiled the new marketing and branding for the company going forward, in line with that philosophy that Paul Heyman has laid out. This show continues to see us deviate from how things were booked in real life, more so than I actually expected us to, but I do feel that all the changes that I've made are necessary to get us going in the right direction. We'll see how that shapes TNA as we continue to approach Paul Heyman's arrival in the company 43 nights from the airing of this episode. And Daniels comes out to open the show, and his point is that he wasn't involved in the fall last night. AJ Styles pinned Samoa Joe, and it was actually his best moonsault ever that put Joe down. As a result, he feels that perhaps him and AJ should go one-on-one for the World Championship. Joe comes out and calls BS on this. He doesn't see it that way. He sees it that last week he beat AJ Styles in a one-on-one match. The week before, AJ pinned Daniels in the middle of the ring. The only match of the three-way that hasn't happened is Daniels and Samoa Joe, but Joe spoke to management earlier tonight and they made Daniels versus Joe in tonight's main event, and the winner will face AJ Styles at Final Resolution. We then get a segment with AJ Styles being interviewed. He's asked about last night and tonight's main event, and he welcomes the fact that Daniels and Samoa Joe will face off. He says that he is itching to get back at Samoa Joe, who did beat him fair and square last week, but Daniels and AJ is a match that he'd love to see main event a pay-per-view, so may the best man win. As he's speaking, Desmond Wolfe comes in and shows an interest in the title, as well as putting over the fact that last night he pinned Kurt Angle. There could be no excuses. That is 2 straight victories for Wolfe over Kurt Angle. We then get the opening match, which happened in real life, and I wasn't quite sure about this because it does make Amazing Red look a bit of an afterthought, but the idea is that it's a clash of styles, but Scott Steiner, who can't quite keep up with Amazing Red's speed, loses it and goes to get a weapon from the outside, intentionally get himself disqualified. Rather than trying to beat Amazing Red, he takes a shortcut and lays into him. It doesn't particularly make the X Division champion look good, despite the fact that he's outmaneuvering Scott Steiner, because he does have to be saved by Bobby Lashley, who clears the ring of Scott Steiner. Their rivalry far from over as we go into Eric Young talking about British Invasion, who successfully retained their titles at the pay-per-view. Not only that, but Big Rob proved his worth to the World Elite by getting involved in that match. The rest of the group will prove themselves tonight in the match which is up next. In that match, the Motor City Machine Guns and Beer Money defeat the World Elite of Brutus Magnus, Doug Williams, Kiyoshi and Sheikh Abdul Bashir, specifically Alex Shelley pinning Doug Williams, one half of the tag team champions, to pick up the win. Not only were the Motor City Machine Guns not the team pinned at the triple threat match at the pay-per-view, Beer Money were, but they've just pinned one half of the tag team champions, and in the ring, rather graciously, Beer Money kind of take a step to one side, allow the focus to be on the Motor City Machine Guns, and they're pretty much saying that fair enough, the Machine Guns deserve a single shot against British Invasion after the fact that Beer Money were added to the match at the last minute. We then get an interview with Homicide, and he's talking about exposing Suicide. Why doesn't he just tell the world what he saw the other month? He suggests that Suicide gets into contact with him before it's too late. He's essentially blackmailing Suicide about his hidden identity. But as Jeremy Borash continues to talk to Homicide, Mick Foley comes in. He wants information from JB, who he thinks is a bit of a snoop and a bit of an insider. He wants to know what's going on with Paul Heyman coming to the company, but JB once again says he knows nothing and walks off. He's sick of Mick Foley's constant interrogation. Homicide is not happy with this and kind of goes face to face with Mick Foley. Nothing comes of it, but it's clear that there is tension between the two. Homicide not happy to have had his interview time cut off. We then go into the third match of the night, Hamada defeating Taylor Wilde. Again, one half of the tag team champions being defeated. Hamada is on her own. She doesn't currently have a partner in TNA, but that is definitely a move in the right direction for her if she wishes to get a title shot in the future. The second hour of Impact begins with Desmond Wolfe coming down to the ring, and he is cutting a promo, continuing to gloat about what he did to Kurt Angle. It seems like every time Angle steps in the ring with Wolfe, he isn't anywhere to be seen on the episode or the show after. Desmond Wolfe once again states his intent to go for the World Championship, which brings out Black Machismo Jay Lethal. He was taken down during the Black Machismo Invitational a couple of weeks ago. Wolfe basically cancelled that invitational and said that it was ridiculous and that Black Machismo is a joke, and he pretty much continues on that line. Jay Lethal tries to stand up for himself, but Wolfe is just saying that he's a comedy character and he's not a wrestler and he doesn't belong in the ring. Wolfe completely blanks Jay Lethal's attempt to start something with him. Lethal obviously wants to fight Wolfe and get revenge for that beatdown the other week, but Wolfe has no interest in getting in the ring with Black Machismo. We then get the fourth match of the night, the other half of the tag team champions winning their match against Alyssa Flash. It's a quick roll up, Flash doing well and in control of much of the match, but does get rolled up by Sarita. That offsets the defeat from Taylor Wilde. We don't want champions being beaten all the time, it is necessary sometimes, but Sarita looking strong coming out of that as Flash is confronted by Brooks, a continuation of their little mini storyline that's going on. As we go to the back with another knockout segment, the beautiful people talking to Lauren, having rejected the chance to appear on ODB's Trash Talk show. They think they're above that show, but they are outside the door where the show is held. ODB comes out and runs down the beautiful people, calls them all sorts of names, and invites Tara to appear on the show in 2 weeks' time. At Turning Point, Tara stated her intention to go for the Knockouts Championship. ODB wants Tara to make that challenge again and say it to her face in 2 weeks' time on her show. The next match is a rematch from Turning Point, but with a added street fight stipulation, so anything goes in this match. It appears that we're going to get the exact same finish to the pay-per-view. Matt Morgan and Rhino are left in the ring. Morgan setting up to hit the carbon footprint again, but Jesse Neal makes his TNA debut. He hasn't been seen in a few months. He had a rivalry with Rhino and was sort of taken under the wing of Team 3D. But this time Morgan is not able to hit the carbon footprint as he is hit with a steel chair by Jesse Neal. Rhino then hits a gore to Morgan and the heels get their win back. This storyline of course continuing, but now the Extreme alumni have an added man. It's now 4-on-3, so this is probably going to lead to a 4-on-4 as it did in reality. Jesse Neal is the centre of attention. Team 3D raises arms and Rhino points to him. Jesse Neal is back in TNA. It's a new look for him from what people had seen before, and I'm not sure if he's going to get much of a push, but he is somebody young and it's good to have those veterans with him to give him a bit of a rub as we continue to reshape the roster. Before the main event, AJ Styles joins commentary and he says that there's been reports that the hooded man has been spotted in the back, but security have not been able to get their hands on him. At the pay-per-view he was spotted at the building but was kicked out of the building to ensure he couldn't get involved in the main event. Tonight, if he is found, he will be detained and not thrown out because security want to know the identity of this man who has been assaulting AJ Styles. We then go into the main event with that cloud looming over it that potentially the hooded man is in the building and could well get involved in the match. During the match, where Daniels and Joe go back and forth, an even match, AJ Styles is attacked on commentary by the man. He comes from behind, AJ has no chance of seeing him. He lays him out and goes to leave. Daniels and Joe are both momentarily distracted, but the guy stops at the top of the ramp and turns back around. It seems that having only had his focus on AJ for the last few months, he now is interested in at least one of the guys in this main event. He initially goes after Joe as Daniels is already on the ground having been taken down by Joe, but Joe overpowers the man and gets him in a Kina clutch. Instead of choking him out, Joe rips the mask off to reveal Daniels is able to get up and hit an angel's wings to Samoa Joe, picking up the win and becoming the #1 contender. Interestingly, Tomko didn't go after Daniels, and after the match he stood on the outside looking up to Daniels. AJ Styles was getting up holding his neck, Joe was still down. AJ was sort of looking at Daniels accusatory. Are you behind this? Were you the guy who brought Tomko back? Daniels claims that he has no idea about what Tomko is doing here. Tomko gives absolutely nothing away, just staring at Daniels until the show goes off air. One mystery solved. Tomko was the man who has been attacking AJ Styles, just like in reality. But there is another question now. Is Tomko working with or for Christopher Daniels? That's the end of the show. AJ Styles v Daniels is now set for final resolution, but Samoa Joe is going to want revenge. Is Daniels behind Tomko coming back, or is it just a coincidence? Why didn't he go after Daniels and just went after Joe? That's something we'll find out in the coming weeks. Next week is the Thanksgiving episode of Impact, and there will be a one-night tournament to crown another #1 contender who will get their title shot at some point in the future, at some point in 2010. Tomko isn't necessarily the greatest reveal, but it is what they did in real life, and I thought instead of dragging that out into 2010 and having it on the Paul Heyman shows, I'd just get it out of the way now. Tomko can do a little program with Joe and a little program with AJ Styles, and then we can move on from that, because I don't really think he's going to be he could be somebody's bodyguard or they're heavy. Perhaps Daniels. We've not said where the storyline's going to go yet, of course, but I don't see Tomko being a big part of the in-ring product going forward. But I guess we'll get more answers next week and in the coming weeks with that Thanksgiving special, the next episode of Impact.